Welcome to SQL for Absolute Beginners course, lesson 8. In this lesson now our table will start getting some entries. So far we created our basket, which is our schema, and we put the books in it, which are our tables, that is phone book and address book. But as we know, our books are empty, they are blank, there is nothing inside it. So the tables need to be having some records inserted. So in this lesson we are going to look at how we can do that. So the syntax for inserting data into the table is very simple. It starts with insert into. These are keywords, so you need to have this insert into, then the actual table name, whichever table we are going to insert the data into, and then the another keyword we need, which is values. And then in parentheses you start the actual values, which is value 1 comma value 2, however many values we need to insert. Now keep in mind that the values, the actual values, the sequence should be followed by the structure of the table. So let's say in our phone book table, our three columns, three fields are ID, name and phone book. So the structure for value 1, value 2, value 3 should follow that sequence. Means the first one should be ID, then the name, and then the phone number. So let's look at that example. So before actually we go there, let's make sure we have two tables we are going to insert data into. One is our phone book, another is address book, and the way we have defined this is in our Edison schema. So the table for phone book, we'll call it Edison.phonebook, which is schema.table name, as you know. And now the structure for insert commands would be insert into phone book values, then I'll write 1, which is just our integer value. So 1 is just a regular number 1, then comma, then in quotations you can use single quotes or double quotes, and the quotes are required wherever the field is varchar field or variable character length field, or also character length field. Basically it's not numeric, then you need to identify that with quotes. And as you can see in the last column, phone number, we are putting 123-456 in quotation marks, because we define the phone number with as a varchar field, because we are allowing the dash to be inserted in as a phone number, overall phone number. So if it was a numeric field only, if we had defined as like integer, then we would not be able to insert that dash in between the numbers. So that's the difference between varchar and integer, and how to insert the value. So I have written three statements, as you can see, but let's go to the actual workbench and try to insert the regular this data. So here is our workbench, and I have pre-written some of the commands. So first, obviously, as I told you earlier, but just to recap, so we can put use Edison as a command. And by the way, you can select this, and obviously you can select the execute button here, or you can also enter control and enter key, which will execute the command. As you can see at the bottom, now I executed this without, I wasn't clicking here because I entered control enter. So that combination is as good as that execution. All right, so what does this use do? Well, in the successive commands, when we'll write, we don't have to keep repeating this table belongs to like Edison.phonebook, Edison.phonebook everywhere, because it would identify the schema automatically, and all it needs is a table name. All right, so let's make sure what currently exists in our table one more time. So I will write this select statement, I can execute this way, and as you can see, this is blank, basically it says null, that means there is no entry. Now our insert command is here, insert into phone book values, then 1 comma Henry Ford comma the phone number. So as we saw, and I'm ending this with a semicolon so that I can also do additional commands afterwards. So I'll show you in a minute. All right, so let's select this and execute it. So the insert command executed successfully. Now let's go back to select command and re-execute that, and here it is. So our first row, first record is available, 1 Henry Ford 1 2 3. So the three columns are having one record in this table. Fantastic. Now how can we get more records into it? Well, we can keep writing insert into commands and executing, but if we have it written, I can execute both the commands together. So make sure you end the first sentence, first command with that semicolon. If I remove it, watch what happens. Immediately it thinks that this command is continuation to the second line, and that's why it doesn't understand, like insert into this, consider again, insert into what is all there. So that's why it is complaining about this second part, and that's why this red cross check is appearing. So let's put our semicolon back, and it is all good to go. So I can select both of these and then say execute, and it will execute one after another. So it executed both the commands successfully. Let's select again to see what is inside the table, and there we have 3 records are there now. Fantastic. So we inserted our records into the table, so we are getting closer to additional data that we need. Now as you saw, we executed as select star, but we could also have done individual ones. Let's say we just say select name from phone book, and if we execute this command, all we'll get is only that field, which is name field, and the rest will not be there. So the point is, you can test it out, our different options for select statements as we discussed. So now if we want to add 2 columns, let's say name comma phone, what is the phone? Wait, let me see. Is this phone? All right, so when you are in doubt, let's do this. I will say describe phone book. Remember this command? So if I forgot whether I said phone or phone number or something, then I say describe it, and here I see my phone underscore number. That's what I was making sure. Is it phone number or underscore is there? So phone number. Now we can execute this select, and let's do this way, right? So let's say I don't remember and I did this way, or if I remember it is this way, which is wrong. Then what it will do is, all it will say is select this unknown column phone number in field list. So it doesn't find this field name in the table structure, and it says I cannot show you what are you asking for because I don't get it. So the underscore is there. Let's do it this way. Select it, execute it, control enter, and there it is. So now we have name and phone number together. So this is how we can do selected fields, or just asterisk with all the fields. As you know, we all did that. All right, so we are good to go on the select side. Now we have data in the table. Just a recap, because now we are able to execute select commands on our table because we have data. So just to recap, select statement is select, then the field name 1 comma field name 2, from database names or schema name dot table name. If you did use table name or database, then you don't need it, this prefix part. The case doesn't matter, you can put lower or uppercase, it's fine. Select lowercase, select one upper one lower, mixed bag is also fine. Database name, field names, table names, they should be exact, just like we saw phone number and phone underscore number. That is important, but case is not important. So I could have said P capital in phone underscore number and N capital, it would still understand it. So the upper lower case doesn't apply either way in select keyword or actual field names. Now multiple field names should be separated by comma, as you saw. There should be name comma phone underscore number and things like that. If all the fields are required, then we can use asterisk, and just like example is select star from, let's say, friends.phonebook or edison.phonebook, whichever way you have created it. Okay, so now this is an exercise for you. Insert data into our address book table, and also write the select statement to check whether table has got the updates, the records are inserted. Now take a moment, pause the video, try it out, and we'll continue. Okay, welcome back. So hope you did it. It's a pretty simple command, as you know. So the sample statement I'm giving is insert into, then edison.addressbook, and if you have used use, you don't need this part again. Values 1 comma. Now remember, here we are, our field names are separate. First name is separate than last name, so I'm putting first name comma last name comma, then the address, the CD, and the state. This is the structure of our table, and this is how it is done. So you can try to insert this data into the table, and then also write the statement. And after you have done it, try to insert another record like this, second one for Henry Ford, and see what happens. So I will leave it up to you. I think it's a very simple exercise. I don't want to spend unnecessary time here. For your exercise, it's simple. But the point I want to rather show you is, so as you can see, insert command is pretty simple, but it would be a real difficult way to insert a number of records. And as we started with the course, we said, well, there are going to be millions of records and thousands of rows and all of those type of things. How do we manage that? We cannot keep writing insert into, right? That's very impractical. So manual entry is not practical enough. In fact, in most cases it will be impossible to do it, right? So how then the data get into the tables? Well, most of the ways are here. In most of the cases, the data is getting inside the table through some program. So think about, let's say you have a web page and you go and register yourself. Let's say you go to a website, Amazon.com or anything, and say, well, I need to create an account. What will they ask? There will be a web page which will say, enter your name, your email address, your shipping address, and certain other things like credit card information, blah, all of those details. Once you enter it and you say submit, what do you think will happen, right? That data behind the scene, so there is a program written behind it which takes that data from the web page that you entered, and that is getting loaded into the database. Now it could be any other database, including MySQL or Oracle or SQL Server or something else. There are tons of different types of database, but just to get an idea, so you can write a program that will basically load data into the table. So the program, still, whoever wrote that program has to write that insert statement even within the program and say insert into let's say customer table, and capture that name that they entered into this field. They entered email, insert into that field. It has to say that, and it will do it. It is just that nobody is writing it manually. That's the difference. Okay. Now there are cases where this is still an example of a single entry. So a customer getting registration, it's still one customer at a time. So that program is written that way, that one entry is getting inserted into the table. But there are cases where we may have to insert bulk data, meaning thousands of rows. We might have it lying in some other, let's say, file, and you want to load that thousands of rows, thousands of records into the table. So there are ways to do it. There are additional commands that will be helping out. There are additional tools also that can also help you do that. In fact, there are cases where you want to load data from one table to another table. Like there is already some data exists in one table, and now for whatever reason I need to bring it into this table. So we can do it. And these are kind of little bit of advanced topics, but I want to get you an idea of overall this insert into is going to be still the case. It is just that the syntax slightly changes for depending on what you are trying to do. And there will be cases where we need to load data from other sources such as text files, spreadsheets, and all that. All of these type of requests will have some little bit of a different syntax. Maybe at the end as a bonus section I will add this. But for now, just understand that there are ways to enter data into the table, but it still has to follow this insert into a command structure in general. All right. So having said that, now we have some data available as we did. In the next section, we are going to see when we are getting data out. Well, think about if we just had 2, 3, 5, 10 records, that's not a big deal. But what about when we have thousands of records, and what to do? How can we control the output? Using, there is a special clause or special keyword called where, and that where is what we are going to look into in the next section. So until then, make the world better. Enjoy. Thank you.